Florida looks like it's on the brink of going all in on constitutional carry, no permits, no bureaucratic roadblocks, just raw Second Amendment liberty. Sounds like a done deal, right? Not so fast. What's being proposed isn't just another tweak. It's a total overhaul with massive implications. We're talking about who can legally carry, how law enforcement responds, the future of campus carry, open carry rights, and even scrapping Florida's controversial red flag laws altogether. Now, this is Florida, so yeah, anything's possible, but this could swing either way. Quick heads up. Everything we're talking about here is based on public records available as of July 2025. This isn't legal advice or political propaganda, just a straight shooter breakdown of what's happening, what's being put on the table, and how it might impact folks like you and me. A quick look back at Florida's gun laws. Let's rewind the clock to understand how Florida reached this point. For decades, if you wanted to legally carry a firearm in public, you had to jump through some serious hoops. That meant applying for a concealed weapons license, completing training courses, submitting fingerprints, clearing background checks, and paying a pile of fees. It was the standard may carry if approved routine. Then came July of 2023. Governor Ron DeSantis signed off on House Bill number 543, officially making Florida the 26th state to legalize permitless concealed carry. That move allowed any law-abiding Floridian over 21 to carry a concealed firearm without getting government permission first. And it's a big, but you still had to keep it hidden. HB 543 didn't touch Florida's long-standing ban on open carry. So while you didn't need a license anymore to carry concealed, you still couldn't walk around with your sidearm visible on your belt. Florida stayed one of only 4 states alongside California, Illinois, and New York that fully banned open carry in public. While gun owners celebrated the permitless carry victory, many of us said, it's a step in the right direction, but not the finish line. For a lot of Second Amendment advocates, true constitutional carry means both concealed and open without government interference. That goal might finally be within reach. What House Bill 31 brings to the table. Enter House Bill number 31, filed in December 2024 by Representative Joel Rudman out of Navarre. He's the Republican lawmaker who's gearing up for a congressional run, and he's making some serious waves on his way out of the state legislature. This isn't a light revision, it's a ground-up overhaul. First and foremost, HB 31 would lift the open carry ban. That means Floridians could legally carry firearms openly in most public areas. If you've got a pistol in a holster on your hip, that would finally be allowed, no more hiding it under your shirt. But the bill doesn't stop there. It also proposes expanding where firearms can legally be carried, including on college campuses and in other previously restricted zones. That's a huge change. Of course, these provisions could face heavy legal challenges, especially from institutions governed by federal oversight, like universities and polling stations. Here's where things get even more serious. This bill aims to fully eliminate Florida's red flag law, the one that was passed after the tragedy in Parkland. That law currently allows family members and law enforcement to request temporary removal of firearms from individuals deemed a threat to themselves or others. Rudman's not sugarcoating his stance. In a Facebook post, he stated, "My bill repeals Florida's unconstitutional red flag laws and makes Florida an open carry state. Shall not be infringed will mean something here in the gunshine state." Gun rights organizations are already on the offensive. Florida Carry, Incorporated, one of the most active pro-gun advocacy groups in the state, has been pushing for open carry for years and sees this bill as their golden opportunity. They were already engaged in a federal lawsuit challenging Florida's open carry prohibition, arguing it violates the Second Amendment outright. The resistance is real. Let's be honest, this isn't getting a warm welcome from everyone. Open carry, in particular, has raised red flags for law enforcement. Even though the Florida Sheriff's Association didn't oppose the permitless concealed carry back in 2023, they've drawn a firm line here. Pinellas County Sheriff Bob Gualtieri straight up called himself a firm opponent of open carry, saying it adds nothing in terms of public safety. For some folks, the phrase constitutional carry expansion sounds like we're tossing out the rule book entirely, but spoiler alert, we're not. The basic eligibility criteria still apply. You've still got to be 21, not be a convicted felon, and legally allowed to own a firearm. Unsurprisingly, Democrats and pro-gun control groups are pushing back hard. To them, Florida is barreling in the wrong direction, especially given the tragedies we've seen at places like Polson Parkland. The push to eliminate red flag laws is particularly controversial. That measure was passed after the Parkland shooting to let family members or law enforcement ask a judge to temporarily take guns from someone who seems dangerous. Even if the repeal goes through, it's likely to get tied up in court fast. Laws like this have been upheld in federal cases before, citing public safety as the top concern. Critics argue that ditching it strips away one of the few proactive tools for stopping something tragic before it happens. Polling data from 2023 showed that around 77% of Floridians weren't on board with permitless carry, including over 60% of Republican voters. Whether those figures still hold in 2025 is up in the air, but it does make you wonder if lawmakers are sprinting ahead of what the public's really asking for. What it means for everyday people. So how does all this shake out for average gun owners, or even folks who don't carry? If you've already got a concealed weapons or firearms license, things could shift drastically. That license would go from useful to completely optional, no renewal fees, no mandatory classes, nothing. You'd finally be able to carry openly, not just tucked under your shirt. For first-time buyers or younger adults just getting into firearms, the roadblocks to carrying would vanish. No paperwork, no government hoops, no mandated training, just a background check, and you're good to go. Tourists from out of state would find Florida even more welcoming to gun owners. Thanks to the 2023 law, non-residents already get to carry concealed without needing a permit. Add open carry into the mix, and Florida starts looking like a top destination for folks from places like New York or California who are used to stricter rules. But here's the catch: crossing into states like Georgia or Alabama could still be an issue. Just because Florida lets you carry without a license doesn't mean those states will honor that. You might still want to keep that laminated CWFL in your wallet for travel purposes. Call it a backup plan. Training would no longer be mandatory, completely up to the individual. Many responsible shooters would still seek out instruction, but it would be a personal choice, not a legal requirement. That's making safety advocates nervous. The idea of untrained folks walking around with firearms in public doesn't sit well with everyone. Business owners are also in a tough spot. They can still forbid firearms on private property, but enforcing that gets a lot more complicated when more people are carrying and some are doing it in plain view. What comes next? Now we get to the critical part: what actually happens from here. House Bill 31 was only introduced this past December, which means it's still in the early stages of the legislative journey. It will need to pass through several committee hearings where lawmakers will dig into the details, hear public testimony, and debate the pros and cons. Given that Republicans hold commanding majorities in both the Florida House and Senate, the odds of advancement are strong, but that doesn't mean it's guaranteed. Leadership decisions will be key. Back in 2023, Then Senate President Kathleen Passidomo chose not to include open carry in that year's permitless carry law, specifically citing strong pushback from the state's sheriffs. The dynamic for 2025 may not be all that different. Incoming Senate President Ben Albritton has already gone on record siding with law enforcement in opposing the expansion to open carry. That could slow momentum or shift the conversation in committee. Should the bill clear both chambers, don't expect immediate changes on the ground. Most major gun law overhauls in Florida are paired with implementation delays, meaning a gap of several months is likely between the governor signing it into law and the actual start date. And make no mistake, legal challenges would come fast. Advocacy groups that support gun restrictions are expected to mount lawsuits, especially over the red flag law repeal. Some cases could end up in federal court, where Second Amendment precedents are evolving rapidly. If you're tracking this closely, key dates to circle include the start of committee hearings in January, with floor votes likely by March or April. If everything moves smoothly, implementation could roll out by mid to late 2025. Zooming out, the national shift. Florida isn't acting in a vacuum here. More than half the states in the U.S. now have some form of permitless carry, and each legislative cycle brings new proposals for so-called constitutional carry. What makes Florida's push so significant is the scope. This isn't just another incremental move. It's a potentially massive leap from a state that's historically been strict on open carry to one that could rival the most permissive jurisdictions in the country. What's interesting is that Florida already enjoys a reputation as a pro-gun state, thanks to its strong concealed carry program and active gun culture. If House Bill 31 makes it across the finish line, that reputation gets solidified and possibly expanded to serve as a model for other red and purple states looking to go further. For supporters of the Second Amendment, this bill feels like the culmination of years, if not decades, of political and cultural effort. For those in the gun control camp, however, it represents a major setback they fear could unwind hard-fought policies. And for law enforcement, it presents a challenging landscape, as departments must adapt their protocols in a society where more people are openly armed and fewer are legally required to receive training. One thing's clear: the stakes are high, the debate is fierce, and the direction Florida takes here could set a tone nationally for what constitutional carry truly means in practice. Sunshine might not be the only thing blazing in the state this year. Your turn. So what's your take? Is this the natural next step in restoring constitutional rights for law-abiding citizens? Or are there still good reasons to keep certain safeguards like training standards or red flag provisions? Let us know what you think down in the comments. Is this about liberty, or is it rolling the dice on public safety? If you want more detailed breakdowns just like this real-world analysis without the political spin, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you stay in the loop. These laws affect everyone, whether you carry or not. Stay sharp, stay informed, and we'll catch you in the next video.